Welcome, race fans, to another exciting Friday night here at Goat Locker Racing. Tonight is the next step in the playoffs, the first of two races to see which of these top 8 drivers make it into the Championship 4. Let's strap in tight and get ready to watch round 13 of the Goat Locker Racing Truck Series presented by Jam Printing and Promotions. You'll see it all right here live on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joey Atterbury, and with me in the booth tonight, pulling double duty, is Eddie Smith. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard, and we've also got Carson Baytol in race control here for us tonight as well. And Eddie, I am so pumped to have you here in the booth. We've made it through the first round of the playoffs, and it's time to start that Championship 8.
Yeah, 12 races behind us. It's been an incredible season. At one point, we had like 6 or 7 different winners, and it is, man, what a racetrack to get to this week. Third race of the playoffs. We've already cut it down from 12 drivers down to 8, and we've got probably the 8 best drivers that have been there all season long. So I'm looking forward to tonight. I cannot wait.
You mentioned it. We've gone through 12 races already. We were at Richmond just the last week, and then previously at Michigan the week before. And the cool part about that top 12 that we just went through, we had 2 different winners lock themselves here into this top 8 round. And I believe we've got that points graphic right here. All of these drivers in the purple, Eddie, they are in that round of 8 trying to advance into that Championship 4.
Yeah, I mean, just like real NASCAR, this is the pivotal race in the playoffs, I would say. I think this is the most important place to get a win. If you can lock yourself into the next round, into the Final Four, this is the place to get that win. So I think all those drivers that are listed there in purple, Cofield, which is kind of separated himself over the last few weeks. I mean, up to 4 wins now. 1 last week has really put himself in that discussion as a championship favorite. Brandon Evans has been strong. He seems to be has gotten better every single week. Started off a little slow, but I think you definitely can't count him out. Jeremy Gardner has been extremely fast. Ryan Pendleton, Patrick Dravitt, Jamie Mullins, and Daniel Cunningham. But George Jewell is the one that I am really got my eyes on. He is sneaking in there, and he is making this thing a exciting championship. So tonight, going to be really important to get that win. Not have to worry about 2 race playoffs. It could be really difficult. If you get the win tonight, you're smiling happy next week at Pocono.
I mentioned there was 2 drivers. That was the 53 and the 07 that locked themselves into that top 8 based off of the wins here in that Championship 12. And we are here at Darlington tonight, South Carolina, the Lady in Black, one of the coolest racetracks on any NASCAR schedule. Has a very unique shape to it. It's got 2 completely different ends. It kind of is more egg-shaped than oval-shaped, and also 23 to 25 degrees of banking around this 1.366 mile circuit. And it is known as the Lady in Black. You get the Darlington stripe out here every single time you practice, qualify, or race. You really do have to race this racetrack, as well as all of the other trucks that are going to be on the track around you. But usually it's single lane. Everybody is going to be arguing over track position, and qualifying is going to be more important than ever. But if you ask me, it is one of the coolest tracks, and whenever I see it on the schedule, Eddie, I always look forward to going to Darlington.
I mean, legendary track. It's home of the Southern 500. It is one of the crown jewels when they race there in the fall, and it is now a playoff race that is extremely important, and it's a driver's track. There's quite a few of those driver's tracks where a driver can make a difference, in Darlington, Dover, a few of those tracks like that. But Darlington is just a special track. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing to do in Darlington, South Carolina. You're just out there in cornfields, and there's like a gas station you can go eat at. It's just out in the middle of nowhere, and that's why we love it, man. It's a down-home route type of track, and boy, it's fast, it's fun. You're right up against the wall. I love Darlington. It's just a lot of fun to race, especially here on iRacing.
And you mentioned, right up against the wall. I said the Darlington stripe. We'll have to kind of pay attention. Here in iRacing, it doesn't always stick around on the wall, but we are definitely going to be seeing the trucks all the way up alongside the wall in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So We're going to see who flirts with it, who is able to come out unscathed, and ultimately, usually, the cleanest truck ends up towards the front. Now, we are in practice right now. They've had about an hour, only about a minute left here in this practice. Jonathan Cofield, last week's winner, is on top of the sheets. This is that number 36 truck of George Jewell as he gets a little bit of loose off of turn number 2 there. Eddie, you were saying this number 36 was the one that you were going to be watching tonight, really snuck in here after kind of that late race shenanigans at Richmond where everything fell apart for a few different drivers.
Yeah, George, I mean, at one point I was talking him off the ledge. He's like, I'm done. I'm tired of this. And I told him, I said, dude, you're in the playoffs. You are in. Stick with it. And, man, he has done it, and he's got a big support system behind him, always friends and family in chat cheering him on. And I think that helps. I think that adds a couple horsepower, Joey, to have those people pushing you from behind. And it's almost like having a little bit of drafting help. So the last few weeks have been pretty incredible for George. And I expect to see him run well tonight. I think he starts off slow, doesn't qualify too well, but he's able to move himself up through the field, be smart. He races really smart. Good pit strategy that he's had a couple times that has gotten him some good finishes. So, I think we've got Cofield, Pendleton, Costick, Cunningham, Patrick, all those guys can easily get wins, I think, at any time. But I think George is going to be one of those that's going to sneak in there points-wise and probably take that final 4 spot. So I feel pretty good about George.
Well, with that, practice has come to an end here and qualifying will begin. This is a very rapid session, only 5 minutes long, and the drivers have only 2 available laps to put down for their qualifying. And it'll be interesting to see which is going to be fastest, the first lap or the second lap. With these trucks, we saw it at Michigan, we saw it at the super speedways where they'll use the first lap kind of like as a warm-up lap to kind of get the RPMs up and the top speed up, and then they'll go for it on their second lap. But here at Darlington, you're under a mile and a half, so every single lap counts. I expect Jake Ellingson, the 27 here, remember, he doesn't have the pressure of the playoffs anymore. I expect him to just go out there and lay it all on the line immediately.
Well, we've already talked about the track being so tough that it's so easy to clip that wall, and on iRacing, you make even a 0x contact, that'll invalidate your lap time. So I think you got to go for it on both laps. I just don't think you can give up one, because you make one little small mistake on that second lap and you're starting in the back, and that's pretty tough. So I think you got to go for it, give it all you got on both laps, and in hopes that you lay down a quick one. Just that little bit of contact you can see is going down into 3 and 4, just how tight that truck will get, trying to get those right sides above that seam, drive off the top side if you can. And look pretty good on this first lap. We'll see where it ends up.
Looks like the number 27 car slots into second place with a 28.91 on that first lap. Provisional pole belongs to Jonathan Cofield with a 28.91 as well, just a mere 5/1000ths faster than the 27. And we talked with Jake, unfortunately, after Richmond last week. It was major heartbreak for this number 27, but he mentioned he doesn't have to worry about the pressure of the playoffs anymore and trying to advance it in. I wonder if that's exactly what he needs to go out there and find victory lane. He stays provisional P2 right now, 28.64 as we jump over to the red, white, and blue number 8 of Regis Clark laying down his first timed lap.
Yeah, it was really disappointing as Patrick Rabbit goes up to second place. Really fast lap for that 07 machine. But, yeah, it was really as Regis actually hits the wall. Looks like he's going to reset and start back over. That's what I was talking about. You want to be careful with that, as that could invalidate your lap time pretty easily. But, yeah, really disappointing to see Jacob Ellingson missed this next round of the playoffs. Really heartbreaker. I mean, he had it. He was up there in position, and Joey, sometimes that racer in you just takes over, and you can't help it. He was clear. He didn't have to race, but he wanted to race, I think, Jeremy Gardner for about second or third place, and gets loose off the corner, just slid out from under him, and he gets into Jeremy, and that was his playoff run over in half a lap. So really disappointed to see that. I think Jacob has plenty of speed, as he's showing here already on the qualifying board. But yeah, I thought That's tough. It's hard to say. It's just as Regis Clark gives a little tail slap to the the exit of turn 2 there. We'd love to see that. But yeah, just disappointing, I think. I think he was definitely disappointed. We definitely appreciate him coming in and talking to us and giving us that after race disappointment interview. But yeah, tough for him as Regis get across the line. Not a great lap, going to be in the 13th position.
Yeah, we've got a few more trucks out here as we wind down qualifying. I think we got about 18, maybe 20 trucks that are going to be taking the grid tonight. And what we are going to do is roll right into our national anthem performed by Navy veteran Jared Ashley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I am fired up to go racing, and we've got our official starting grid here for Darlington. It's the number 53 of Jonathan Cofield, your pole sitter and last week's winner from Richmond. Lined up alongside of him is Patrick Drabick. He was the other winner in that championship round of 12, so our two winners to lock themselves in on the front row here. Jake Ellingson in that number 27 starts third. Ryan Pendleton, the teammate, there in fourth in the number 23. Then comes Jamie Barkis starting in fifth. Daniel Cunningham to his outside in sixth. Michael Kostek, an early season winner, in seventh. Jamie Mullins in eighth. Chuck Phelps, a great qualifying from him in the number 75 and ninth. And George Jewell sneaking in to 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be James Goshen with Alan Marshall there in the 12th spot. 13th, Brandon Wallace with Regis Clark in 14th. Mike Brownie going to roll off the field in 15th with Matt Knights in 16th. 17th is going to be, James Kaufman, and Timothy Stubblefield is going to bring up the rear of the field. Did not put down a qualifying time.
Just waiting for these trucks to roll off onto their pace lap here. And Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong. Since we are at Darlington, we should just have the single pace lap going on, and then we should get right to the green flag. And since we're going to be moving along pretty quick here, what do you think are going to be maybe a story point here, a talking point to the beginning half of this race?
Well, I mean, taking a look at your race analysis, 100 laps here tonight. Pit road speed 45, green, white, checker 2, no faster pairs. I think that's going to be a big talking point here tonight, as you're going to have to take care of that right front. Those walls sneak out. It's just racing the track, I think, is the biggest thing here tonight. You see tire sets available in the pits, so 4 total, and that custom pick setup provided by Premier Setup. So yeah, Joey, I think you got to race the track. I think there's too much on the line, especially if you are a playoff driver. You've got to really be thinking about taking care of that truck. Don't put yourself in position where that thing gets a little bit of damage. You got to drive around Darlington for 60, 70 laps with a bent up right front. It's going to be really tough.
And Darlington typically is a high tire wear racetrack, so the longer you run on these green flag stints, the more the driver has to adjust inside the car of the rolling speeds when you let on and off the throttle. But we are about to go racing under the lights here in Darlington, South Carolina. The number 53 of Jonathan Cofield brings them lined up nice and easy, 2x2, and now stands on the gas. A good, even start from our entire 18 cars hitting the track here. Cofield takes the low line into turn number 1. Drabick follows him through. Pendleton is going to stick side by side with Ellingson there for the 3rd place. And oh, just a little bit of a loose moment for the 27. He's going to slot back in line.
Yeah, immediately going single file, which is something you pretty much expect here at Darlington. Ready to start racing that track. You have to diamond the entry of, see James Goshen get loose back there. But, yeah, single file almost immediately. And look at Jonathan Cofield, already a half a second out front.
Shades of what we saw at Richmond when that 53 was out front, which was the whole night. There was no catching him at all. Is this just going to be a repeat of what we've seen not only last week, but kind of in previous weeks during the regular season? This number 53, when he is at a racetrack that he likes, there is no stopping this driver. He puts on complete displays of dominance, not just from short run speed, but to long run speed, putting together the whole race strategy. I think the only scary part about Jonathan Cofield when you look at it is that intermittent internet blinking.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to talk about. That's really always the biggest thing with him is just if his internet, they always kind of make fun of him. One of his sponsors in another league was his Backwood internet service, and so I think, and you see he's going to blink out right there. It's always a nervous part of his deal, but if he can keep it together, I mean, he's unbeatable. Right now, Patrick Drabick's starting to slowly creep up on him at the moment, but I think him getting out in clean air, it's a scary, scary thing. Now, looking at the weather, the track's 77 degrees. That is about as cold as it gets on iRacing. It'll go up just a little bit, I think, as the trucks drive around here. For tonight, but not much, and so that thing's gripped up. And what that means to me is that these guys can run hard. They can really lean on that right rear front on the exit of the corners, and I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of tire saving where you take it easy. I think you're going to have to go hard pretty much all night to keep up with this track. I think it's going to be real fast pretty much the whole night.
I don't know if you caught that on the back end of the screen there coming off of turn number 2, but the number 8 car of Regis Clark got all sorts of sideways almost into the wall. Now he's following that number 75 of Chuck Phelps. I mentioned that Chuck had a fantastic qualifying effort, but he's got the number 8 of Regis as well as James Goshen all over the back end, and here comes Regis down that back straightaway. He's going to look down to the inside, and Goshen actually almost goes into the back of both of them. This is a little bit of a tricky situation. Typically off of turn 4, the high line will prevail, but right now it looks like a dead even heat here into turn number 1. Into 1, the low line is usually faster, and there goes Regis Clark sliding up in front of Chuck Phelps, and almost a little bit of contact, and now there is contact. Sends Phelps up into the wall off of the door of the 85.
Yeah, and that's, man, I hate it. You see Chuck, he is not happy at the moment. He's going down pit road. He definitely feels like his wheel is completely jacked up, and he's coming right down on pit road to get that damage fixed. And you can see he is not happy as he is getting down to pit road speed. But, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't like to be critical. It's easy for us to be critical up in here, Joey, in the booth. But, you know, when at Darlington, it seems like if somebody gets position on you, if it's early in the race, you kind of just need to let out of it and let them go. Everybody's fighting for the same line. It looks like you have multiple grooves, and you can race a little bit side by side, but just not for very long. And I think in that moment, Chuck, if he would have backed out of it a little bit, continued to fight another day, he would be still in this thing. But, yeah, it's just tough. You see these guys running a single file. I think when somebody gets inside of you, you just kind of need to back off, let them go, and see if you can keep up with them.
Now, you know what, Eddie? I'm going to go ahead and play devil's advocate over here as we're watching Brandon Wallace as well as the number 25 of Kaufman try to make a move on the 92 of Stubblefield here. Now, I noticed that that inside car kind of drifted up into Phelps's racing line. He couldn't go anywhere but up into the wall, so it'll be curious if Chuck gets back out onto the racetrack and if any kind of payback is repaid as we still continue to watch the 92 get so close to the back end, and then that provides the run to Kaufman. You saw him get choked up off of the corner exit. That was Timothy Stubblefield. That opened the door for that red and turquoise number 25, and here goes Kaufman. He's going to try to go ahead and complete the pass on Alan Marshall. And I tell you what, Eddie, these 4 trucks right here, they're just kind of all tripping over each other.
Yeah, you don't see nobody moving over, letting anybody go here. They are really getting with it, and you can kind of see the back and forth. You see how much gap there is. Stubblefield's going to knock the outside wall, about knocked it back a little bit. The safer barrier is now squished about half of what it was, but you see how much gap is now between these drivers. That is Darlington in a nutshell. It doesn't take but one corner for you to lose half a second here. As that momentum drops off, you have to lift. You get a little bit tight and have to kind of grab that brake a little bit on exit. It is really, really difficult to keep that up, and that's why we see these Darlington races sort of spread out over time as the runs go on. You see Brandon Wallace get a big run as Stubblefield gets a little bit loose, kind of blocks that run. But as the run goes on, it will get spread out because it's so difficult to be consistent at Darlington. You have to hit the lap every single time. If you can be consistent, you'll be fast. But you see a lot of guys just kind of going backwards and forwards here, just trying to attack this track.
Speaking of going backwards, is the number 15 of Jamie Barkis. I think that he might have gotten turn 4 a little bit wrong there, and that opened up the door for not only the 08 of Daniel Cunningham, but also that number 3 truck of Michael Kostek. So slide Jamie Barkis down 2 positions, and hey, there's that familiar name of that number 36 right behind Barkis. Hey, Eddie, that's George Jewell. He's already up 2 positions from where he started, and he's knocking on the door of this battle of 4 trucks.
Yeah, look at him looking down to the inside, and you can see Barkis really struggling. He made some contact, like you probably said, and looks like that truck's not turning. If you lose that, you're in big trouble. So George Jewell, like you said, able to drive right on through. I'm telling you, he has turned the page. He's been really good. He's obviously a top 8 driver, but we haven't talked about him, as far as wins and stuff goes. But man, sometimes you just have to be the Matt Kenseth that just finishes really well and doesn't have any really bad races, especially with the playoff rounds being 2 races. I think that's a huge thing. A lot of people probably don't think about, well, normally a 3, this one's 2 races. You have a 50% chance of having a really terrible race. It's just going to take you out and you can't recover. So I think George has done a fantastic job of keeping that truck clean and making his way through the field, and right now he's up to 7th, looking pretty fast.
And you mentioned just keeping clean here at Darlington and racing the racetrack. I really do feel like if you can keep your truck spotless, scratchless, whatever you call it, you will work your way forward. Just like how we saw that one car of the number 15, kind of once he rubbed the wall, he fell backwards. Well, the more you keep your truck clean, the faster you get to go out there. And this is the battle for
Jacob
what is
Ellington.
Second place. Oh, no, that's the 27. That was coming off of turn number 2. Just looked like a giant loose moment there, Eddie, and I don't see any right side damage. I think that's going to be hard into that left side wall, and he's forced to come down pit road and get that stuff fixed up.
He actually slammed the outside wall off of turn 2. Just got really tight. And we'll check an onboard in a minute, just kind of highlight what that looks like. But yeah, real heavy damage on the right side and then right down to the inside. And he is going to come down to pit road immediately to get that fixed. Chuck Phelps, actually, update on him. He's been on pit road for about 4.5, almost 5 minutes. So it's a couple drivers early having big damage. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Let's go on board with Ryan Pendleton and watch these guys drive this track. And you can see right here, coming off of turn 2, you really have to get woed up as you go all the way to the wall, and you're trying to time it where you come off the corner right off the bottom. In 3 and 4, you'll kind of enter in sort of in this middle line, drift up to the top, right against that wall, pedal it up, and it will drive off this corner really well. But watch going down into turn 1, and this is the problem area right in the middle of turn 1. They're going to drive it full throttle. They're flat foot right here. They lift a little bit of brake, start to roll back on the throttle, and you've got to get woed up enough that you turn it down right here so you get the speed off the corner just like Ryan Pendleton does. And if you miss it by just a hair, you're in that outside wall.
I think if we do end up getting that replay of the 27, that second apex that Eddie was talking about, that's exactly what the 27 just kind of missed. I think he just had a big-time wiggle moment right in the middle of turn 1 and just couldn't ever get the nose tucked back down to the low end of the racetrack in order to get that turn coming off of turn number 2. And unfortunately, just like Eddie was saying, made hard contact there on the right side. And want to say thank you to some of our partners here, and that includes Jam Printing and Promotions. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. Thank you very much to Jam Printing and Promotions, the title sponsor here at the Goat Locker Racing Series. And 22 laps of 100 knocked down, almost a quarter of the way through this one, getting some of the shots of our second place runner, Patrick Drabick, looking nice and calm with his teammate running right in tow behind him.
Yeah, they've fallen back about 2.5 seconds to Cofield, which no surprise there. He's flat out gone there. You see him as he goes through the corner, and as this run goes on, they're 23 laps into this thing. Tire wear is definitely becoming a factor now, so if they were saving, they would have been running him down, and right now Cofield just a tad bit faster than Patrick Drabick almost every single lap. But these top 3 are actually running very similar in lap time, so maybe that clean air just a little bit more consistent out of Jonathan Cofield at the moment.
It's actually just kind of starting to stack up a little bit behind Kostek. Now, I shouldn't say stack up, maybe a little bit more behind Cunningham here as George Jewell is looking to the inside. But this group of trucks right here, this kind of 3-pack, call it, they're flirting with closing the gap to that number 3 truck right in front of him, which is so close to the back end of Pendleton. So yes, second through kind of call it 7th is a little bit spread out, maybe 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds on the racetrack. But if there's any sort of fall off from Drabick out front and he starts holding up Pendleton, this group of 3-4 trucks, it'll crawl up and all of a sudden be 7 trucks all trying to argue over second place here at Darlington.
Yeah, and we're seeing guys make a lot of mistakes. We saw George Jewell there. He was trying to make a move on Daniel Cunningham, but actually slipped up a little bit. And as soon as he did that, Jamie Barkas with a head of steam just come flying around George Jewell. So these guys are starting to make those little bitty mistakes that Darlington is so known for. And every time they make one of those mistakes, it's just time lost. But this is a great battle between Cunningham, Barkas, and Jewell. Barkas, we started to see him fall back a little bit, but he has started to kind of have a resurgence here as we get close to lap 30.
You're right. We saw the number 15 kind of fall back and smack the wall for a second time, but that was about 10 laps ago, and evidently Jamie has kind of evaluated the damage that he's going on the truck. And yes, sometimes, I should say most of the time, the damage will make the truck slower. However, if you're a smart driver, you can make adjustments inside the truck yourself. Now, it is a fixed setup. You can't go in there and start changing bars or anything like that. But let's say if it's got a little bit of a push, you can let off going into the corner so that way the front end can hook up. Or if it's a little bit loose, you just have to be a little bit more careful with that right foot. And evidently, Jamie Barkas has figured out what the truck needs after smacking that wall, and he has started on that recovery path.
Yeah, and Jamie is he's a sneaky good driver. I don't think he gets talked about enough, but he has a lot of wins across Goat Locker. Very good in the next-gen car. I think the trucks has just been an odd this has been an odd season for Jamie. I expect to see him up front every single week, and it just hasn't been the case. But he's really been competitive. And I think that's more of, I think maybe that just kind of goes to how competitive this whole series has been all season long. Just how tough it is to get even top fives, let alone wins.
Remember how I said that this is kind of flirting to be, oh my goodness, there was a big time loose moment between Cunningham and Barkis. They almost got together coming off of turn number 4, but thankfully no crinkled bodywork. We're still green flag racing, but I was going to make the comment that we could potentially have a 7-truck battle for kind of podium positions here. And right after I had said that is here comes Barkis down to the inside. He is going to clear the 08, that orange and black truck. So move Jamie back up inside of the top 5. We're going to watch George Jewell also try to swing his way in there into turn number 1. Not quite able to make the move on Cunningham, but it was actually Pendleton that had a huge mistake a handful of laps ago coming off of turn number 2, almost identical to what we saw his teammate, the 27 of Jake Ellingson, and he hit the wall hard coming off of turn number 2. That allowed that black number 3 of Kostek to close the gap. And now I'm counting it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks all on the front straightaway.
Yeah, it is definitely, well, we've already said it many times, mistakes are making. Well, I want to highlight something on that last pass that Jamie Barkis made on Cunningham. You know, I was talking about just letting somebody go. Cunningham knew that Barkis was faster, got to the inside, got that position on him, and you saw Cunningham actually just lift in the middle of the corner just to help facilitate that pass. And it's such a weird thing to say, you know, you need to help facilitate passes, but at Darlington, just how tight it is in here when it's still early in the race. If you can work together and both of you come out the other end of some of these incredible turns, it makes all the difference in the world. So heads up driving by Cunningham to stay in this thing, loses a position, but I think it's really smart to kind of to give up a spot when you know that that guy's a lot faster.
As we watch the number 3 truck still just try to find a way around Pendleton, and if we draw back a few weeks ago, it was Pendleton crossing the line behind Drabick, helping push him to that victory there at Michigan. And so I wonder, Pendleton has just kind of cranked up the consistency. I would call it in the last half dozen weeks. He's just consistently inside the top 3. Jonathan Cofield, I think, is just on another planet, but when it comes to best of the rest, it's hard to overlook this number 23 and really what Ryan has done on the track with his performance.
Yeah, and Ryan's good at almost every track. You know, I've raced with Ryan for a long time, and he I think early on when we were racing together, he would be one of those guys that would be really fast early and then start to fall off just a little bit. But he has completely changed. He is a championship style driver, and he has gotten, as soon as we're talking good about him, he's going to get into the wall. But that's Darlington, baby. That's going to happen. He's going to lose a spot to Kostek and maybe even Barkis. But you put him on a road course, he will wax the field. He is very good there. He's good at short tracks. I've raced with him at Bristol, and he whooped my butt. So it is definitely possible for him to win at almost every single track. And he is always up in the top 3, top 4. I think if you had to count up his second place finishes, I think he'd have a ton of them. But right now, starting to fade just a little bit. That contact with the wall again. So maybe that contact you were talking about earlier, Joey, starting to rear his ugly head.
Well, I count 3 stripes for Ryan Pendleton there. So mark him on the car. Once in turn number 2 and then twice in turn number 4 for Ryan Pendleton. We'll see if he can dance with the lady in black a little bit better in the back half of this race. But because of that, it has allowed some of these other trucks to close in. Now, this white and blue number 27, Jake Ellingson, he is several laps down, and we keep talking about just kind of the tire wear here at Darlington. When we covered the track early on, I mentioned it is a high tire wear racetrack. Well, the 27, obviously the fastest truck on the racetrack. And to kind of give you an idea of the fall off, this is a good visual representation, right? You can just watch him just drive right underneath the 23 of Pendleton as he smacks the wall yet again. So that is 4 stripes there for Pendleton. But The fall off, a 30.9 from our leader. His fastest lap, a 28.7. So, Eddie, we're already dealing with over 2 seconds per lap when it comes to that fall off. And really, these trucks can continue going on this fuel for quite some time.
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, the fuel run is anywhere between 53, 58 laps as we watch Jacob Ellington continue to pick them up and put them down. But so they can go quite a while on fuel, so it's just one stop. So the big question right now is, when do you do that? And you know, honestly, I have really turned the page. I was always sort of a short pit guy. But if you are moving forward, if you're Jamie Barkus, George Jewell, you do not want to give up the advantage that you have at the moment, which is you're running guys down. So why on earth would you pit early if you're a guy that likes to save a little bit of tire? So I think, you know, I think we'll see these guys start to run as long as they possibly can, try to wait out a caution if they can get it. I don't think short pitting is the right answer for just about anybody, unless maybe you're Jamie Mullins or Cunningham to jump over a couple drivers. But I think you run it all the way out here and come down pit road. I don't think we'll see anybody come in early, because then you'd have to go a long way on tires, and boy, that would be really, really tough here.
Speaking of car setups and strategy out there on the racetrack, everybody is on that fixed setup, and thank you to Premier Racing Setup. They are the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Established in 2016, they offer many different options to help take your sim career to the highest levels. With over 50,000 customers worldwide, they've got the tools that you need to compete with the best. And a special thank you to them for donating the setups here for the Goat Locker Racing Truck Series. That is why these drivers are so fast and can drive these trucks to the absolute limit every single week out here, because they have the confidence that the truck is going to do exactly what they need to every single time they hit the racetrack. And this is our leader out here, Jonathan Cofield. I mentioned that sometimes he is just on another planet. Well, this is another one of these nights. We're approaching the end of the first green flag fuel stint, and he has already put 4.5 seconds, almost 5 seconds on the rest of the field. Has the fastest lap of the race, is the only truck still lapping kind of in that 30-second bracket. So he has yet to fall off, unlike a lot of the other trucks.
Yeah, and you could just see, I mean, if we looked at the top 5, a lot of them would look very similar to what he's doing, but it's just the consistency. Last lap, Patrick Rabbit ran a 31.2, and I think a lap before he ran close to a 31 flat, and it's just like right there, he's a tenth faster, 2/10 faster that last lap. So it's the consistency that Cofield's able to do. We talked about that earlier in the race. This track is so difficult. It's a driver's track, and he is just doing it. He's not any faster. Everybody can run very similar lap times. He's just doing it more consistently. He's not having those times where he has to check up really hard and get out of the gas. He's not losing 2 or 3 tenths a lap. And yeah, so it's definitely showing how consistent he's being right now.
And unfortunately, the consistency, well, I should say the consistency is there for Pendleton. He is consistently hitting the wall in turn 2 and turn 4, but that is not what you want to do in terms of performance on the racetrack. And here comes the 08 of Cunningham. He's going to look down to the inside, but this 23 truck is doing nothing but going backwards right now. A 31.8 that last lap time. That is 3/4 of a second slower than his teammate Drabick, who he was setting the pace with up there in 2nd and 3rd place. I know that you said short pitting is not the answer, but in the case of Pendleton, he might need to come down and get new tires on the truck. It's not going to fix the damage, but it might help stop the bleeding, and then you just have to pray for a yellow.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Good call there, Joey. He's coming right down to pit road. I think he heard you. He felt like you needed to stop the bleeding and come on down pit road now. So
he missed.
Yeah, he missed the commitment cone. Oh, no, that's even worse. Oh, so big mistakes there for Ryan Pendleton.
Oh, my goodness. You know, We saw some mental errors out of one of his teammates, and that eliminated him from going into the top 8 here. And I wonder if it's going to strike the number 23 of Pendleton, because he is one of your championship contenders. We've been talking about the speed that he's been showing up with on the racetrack, and after smacking the wall so much and then missing pit road, and now his huge sideways almost gets into the water barrels there on entry. Got to make sure to slow it down enough. I don't see any black flags, but I mean, when it rains, it pours, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, and you can really get in your own head while you're driving. You make that first mistake, you knock down the wall, then you're struggling to keep up with the change of the truck. It's getting a little bit tighter. You're trying to make it work. And then you make contact again, and you're in your head. You're starting to get stressed out. Then the mistakes keep coming. You miss pit road. This is a really difficult pit road to get down on, especially if you have right front damage. That truck won't turn. And so he's trying to get down pit road. He makes a mistake. Then he almost locks it up. It's just, at this point, you have to calm down, take a breath, come out, and try to make some, try to recover here. You know, he's falling back to about the 6th or 7th position, and he needs to get back to the top 5. He's definitely got the speed. He just needs to kind of take a deep breath and get back out there, because it won't take long. We'll be talking about him being outside the cut line before this thing's over with.
Here he is back out onto the racetrack, so wasn't able to fix up any of the damage, but tell you what, fresh tires definitely make the truck feel a lot better, and we've had a lot of our front runners already come in. That included Drabick. The number 53 of Cofield is actually on pit road right now, so he split this thing right down the middle. 50 laps is what our leader said. Okay, this is the simple strategy. If it made it 50 laps, you can make it from here all the way to the end on the fuel. All he's got to do is basically replicate this green flag stint, and then if we do have a late race yellow, he still has plenty of tires on pit road to go. This extra track position that he'll fall down just a little bit, he'll make up for immediately with the extra speed from these tires. So I think that this is a plenty fine strategy call. I just don't see anybody touching the 53 unless randomly like a yellow comes out right now in the sequence.
Yeah, and he was out so far ahead. He could short pit, long pit, pit right in the middle. It doesn't really matter. He could come in, probably go get a Slurpee out of the infield, and he'd be fine. So he can really do whatever he wants. Looks like everybody's doing that's pitted so far wanted to go right around 50, which makes plenty of sense. Right now, Cunningham's still staying out. Brandon Wallace would be one of those drivers in that 99 machine that stays out. He usually has he'll run it super long just to maybe wait for a caution, but he also likes to have just run the fuel out. He's pretty known for that. So looks like they're the only 3, Cunningham, Wallace, and Knight's, the only ones that have come down haven't come down pit road yet. Everybody else has made their stop. So right now I'm looking at Jamie Barkus, who came out. He pitted about a lap earlier than his teammate, and he did get right to his back bumper. So Barkus continues to make improvements after that early on, kind of dropping from 5th to, down to about 8th or 9th, and now is just kind of surging ahead. Him and George Jewell. Jewell had made up a ton of spots, cracked the top 5 before the pit stops started. Excuse me.
And I think we're going to see the rest of them file down pit lane, get fueled on up to make it to the checkered flag here. Get back out onto the racetrack, and we've kind of had a typical Goat Locker Racing event here that we've had nothing but green flag racing. About 2/3 of the way through the regular season, we kind of hit a little bit of a rough patch with some of those short tracks, and we had some of the elbows out racing that kind of you get at North Wilkesboro and Richmond, but ever since then, they have really cleaned things up out on the racetrack, and it is fantastic racing. And this is the 53 back out in front here. He's just been doing a fantastic job. It went from about 6 seconds of gap up to about 15 seconds. So Cofield definitely just kind of on the move out here. And also want to give a huge shout out every single week here at Goat Locker Racing. We have the veteran spotlight, and tonight is Mark Holyfield. Mark is a 20-year U.S. Army veteran. He performed many jobs in his career, including combat engineer, track vehicle crewman, combat infantry mortarman, military police officer, interior electrician, and construction site project manager. Among his many duty stations, Mark was stationed at Camp Hausa and Warrior Base, Korea. He was deployed to Bosnia, Iraq, and Kuwait. On November 11th, 2004, while in Iraq, Mark received a Purple Heart. We are proud to have Mark as a member here at GLR, and we thank him for his service. So, Eddie, 43 laps to go, and as I like to say, the sand is starting to run out of the hourglass. We've gone from how many laps to now 43 to go.
Yeah, and it's been a great race. There's so many times you have a caution-filled race on iRacing, and it's always great to get to a track where it's all driver and put your head down, go knock out 100 really fast laps, one good pit stop, and take the dub. And that's what Cofield's doing at the moment. And Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkus just trying to keep up. Their tires are a good bit older than Cofield, and so it's going to be tough for them to really make it up. They're really going to have to hope for a caution. And the problem is that here at Darlington, the caution activation zone is just on the racing surface. So if they
speaking, yellow flag on the racetrack right now, Eddie, and I think it was maybe the 85 here of James Goshen. So, hey, maybe we just needed the commentator's curse for race control, huh?
We knocked it out right there. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened to him. Looks like it was he's already.
It was actually well before this. It was coming out of turn 4. Yeah, there it was right there. So he's going to come out of turn number 4 on one of these laps, and it actually looks pretty harmless. He goes up there and scrapes the wall, but I don't know what happens after that. He just hooks a hard left, makes heavy impact. Oh, there it was. It was a big loose moment after he hit the turn 4 wall, and then the heavy impact to the pit lane wall.
Yeah, that's interesting to see that brought out the caution. I'm sitting here making a point that I've seen play out 1,000 times, and then it just completely contradicts me, where he goes down to the inside wall, hits it, and the caution comes out. So I don't know if there was something else that happened. That's usually not the case, but hey, that changes a lot of things right now, Joey.
It absolutely does, and everybody had completed their pit stop cycle, so you don't need to come down pit road right here. Now, I see the 07 down here. I like this call out of Drabick. Now, this is big, okay? So Cofield only had about 7 or 8 laps on his tires when this yellow flag came out. However, Patrick Drabick pitted a handful of laps ahead of that number 53. So he was on much older tires, and with how fast Cofield was, there was just absolutely no way anybody was going to go out there and catch him. However, now that Drabick has fresh tires, this kind of throws a curveball in the strategy and might provide that opportunity that Cofield wasn't expecting in his mirror.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, I've seen Cofield pull so many rabbits out of his hat that it would not surprise me if he still runs away with this thing. But you've already kind of highlighted the tire wear that we've seen, and 10 laps is nothing to sneeze at here at Darlington. He is going to be at a disadvantage, and Patrick has been pretty similar in just straight up speed, and so I think this is great for Drabick, and actually could be bad for Cofield. Especially if they run to the finish. I mean, it's not like he's gonna all of a sudden it's not gonna equalize until later in the run. So surprised to see him not come down pit road. He's so fast. I'm just kind of blown away that he can come down and get 4 tires like everybody else. So this may be exactly what we needed here to make this exciting. So appreciate Cofield for handicapping himself just a little bit to make it exciting.
Want to thank Veterans for Life Foundation. The goal of Veterans for Life Foundation is both to revitalize communities and supporting military veterans and their families' successful transition back into civilian life. Through support services, counseling, and education, they provide permanent, affordable housing to veterans and their families. Thank you so much to that Veterans for Life Foundation being part here of Goat Locker Racing Series. And we're going to be getting green flag racing the next time by. So to set the stage, the only truck that is on old tires right now is our leader, that number 53 of Jonathan Cofield. Like we were hearing Eddie say, is the tires going to be enough to overcome the speed difference? Or the other thing that we haven't thought about yet, Eddie, is yellows. They tend to breed yellows.
Yeah, you see trucks again. You go, oh gosh, it spread out really fast last time. So we got to get up here and make these moves as quickly as possible. And those lifts like Daniel Cunningham was doing to help facilitate passes, when they get under halfway like this, we get to about 40 laps to go, those stop happening. So I think, yeah, we're going to see a little bit more aggressive racing here, especially out of these front three. Because I think if you're Patrick and Jamie, you got to get by the 53 and get going. You cannot dilly-dally.
We're about to see what kind of launch and grip those old tires will provide that black and red 53 on the bottom lane. He waited all the way to the end of that restart zone to stand on the throttle, and it looks like he still has plenty of life left in those good years. We see the 55 or the 15 of Barkas try to slide to the inside. He will grab second away from Drabick, and then here comes Pendleton. He's trying to get to the inside of Kostek, but it's Cofield, Barkas, Drabick down the back straightaway.
Yeah, the next 2 or 3 laps are really going to highlight the difference in tires between these drivers. And you can see already through the middle of the corner what they could do. And I think Barkas needs to wait about another lap. He got a little bit too throttle happy there. But you're going to see the difference in tires, I believe. We saw it really big in 3 and 4. This time in 1 and 2, Cofield kind of keeps the pace. So we'll see if either one of these drivers can make it up to the front, but they have the tire advantage. They got to make use of it, and they got to do it now. They can't wait too long.
I agree. I think Cofield was able to jump out just kind of based off of the whole shot and the advantage you get as the leader. Now, you do have to get everything up to temperature, and sometimes used tires can fire off okay that first half lap or so, but then that fresh stuff should start to pay off, and I think we're kind of seeing it pay off right now. Barkas had a tremendous run coming off of turn number 2, so that starts to draw back in that gap to our leader, the 53 truck, and that was the corner right there. That was the turning point. Now we're seeing that gap continue to close down, and the 53 truck that looked invincible all night all of a sudden has a lot of company in his mirror.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about the tire temps. The track still being around in the 70-degree mark. It takes a little bit longer for new tires to get up to temp, and you see it right now. It is exactly what you said. They are starting to fire off, especially in the middle of 3 and 4, and you could see the run that Barkas was about a tenth faster last lap, and now this time just about another tenth faster this time. So they are closing in. Now, luckily for Barkas, he's got his teammate behind him. He's not going to have to fight for it too hard. I think both those drivers know that they need to be thinking about getting around him, not fighting each other, because that's exactly what Cofield wants with those older tires. Why don't you guys battle it out and burn your stuff up a little bit and then allow me to pull away?
And here we go. Here comes the 15 down to the inside of the front straightaway. He is the first challenger to Cofield all night long, but Jonathan drives it in deep into turn number 1, flirts with that wall, but just the consistency to bring it back down the racetrack in turn number 2 was able to defend the lead. So he says, yeah, I'll go racing side by side, but you're going to have to pass me the tough way, as it looks like Pendleton back there for 4th place is trying underneath that black number 3. He's going to get choked up off of turn number 4, so it goes back to the lead now. Barkas consistently has a better run off of these corner exits, but here at Darlington, that single lane racetrack through the corners, you need to be up alongside at least enough to present the car, if not throw the slider.
Yeah, you see he's trying to make it up on entry, but that's really closing off his momentum off the exit of the corner. He's going to get a run here, but you see the top side gets such a better run that he's not there. He needs to be about at least door to door. I just think going into 1, and it's really tough to make this work right here on the bottom. Cofield has the preferred line. we'll see if they make a little bit of contact. It gets real tight right there, and both of them do a great job. But I think Barkis needs to be focused on 3 and 4. This is where he's been the best. He's got to make his move right around in here, and he's going to go down to the inside now and really put pressure on the 53.
He almost leaned on that left rear quarter panel of our leader in a fantastic race with 29 laps to go. It is still the 15 underneath the 53, and we got to remember that that car on the outside has the older tires. A little bit of a door rub coming off of turn number 2. Can Barkis clear him here in 3 and 4? He drives it in really deep. Yes, he is clear of the 53. He'll slide up off of turn number 4 and actually bring his teammate up alongside of the 53. Patrick Drabick smells blood in the water.
Yeah, that was a great move by Barkis. He waited. He got the door in there, and he got a great run. Actually, Cofield got into the wall just a little bit, and that was just what Barkis needed to get down into the next corner and be a little bit ahead. And now Cofield, I mean, we talked about what could knock Cofield out of this win, and this is exactly it. Just a weird caution, him expecting folks to maybe stay out, and now he's in trouble. I mean, we're starting to see the tire difference make a big deal as he is falling off the cliff. We talked about tires over and over again on iRacing. They're plateaus. They have grip levels, and they drop off sharply, and then they plateau out, and they drop off. And they keep doing that throughout the run until they finally even out at the end. And right now, you see that Cofield has dropped off a cliff where everybody else is still in that upper grip level. So he is really struggling as he is going to get passed by George Jewell, looks like.
Oh, and he's going to get turned by George Jewell on the front straightaway. The 53, the truck that has been so fast all night long, brings out the yellow flag on the racetrack. It was green for forever, and then thankfully Brandon Wallace was able to avoid the 53 as he spun back up onto the racetrack. And I don't know about this one, Eddie. We're going to have to get maybe a chopper view of this or something, because I know that the 53 was sliding back, but usually he's pretty respectful on the racetrack of kind of the lines he's picking.
Yeah, looks like, yeah, honestly, that's him putting, I think that's both of them. You know, man, it's so tough to say because they're both, if I could get a better angle here, but they're both, Cofield doesn't want to allow this pass to happen. He's got to stop the bleeding, and he's just trying to lean on George a little bit, and George is leaning on him, and they get connected, and once they make that contact, that's all she wrote.
Yeah, and I'll give benefit of the doubt to George Jewell, because in iRacing, when you kind of get rubbed up against another truck, it can kind of magnetize them together, kind of hooks them together, and it's really tough to pull them off. I just that's definitely a tough one for the 53, but did bring out a yellow flag, and it looks like everybody is hitting pit road. I was going to say this might be the saving grace for Cofield, that he comes down and gets a new set of tires, but looks like everybody is going to come down and get that new set of tires.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was going to make that mistake, that's for sure. And Cofield actually, honestly, it was a really smart move. I'm not giving props because I know he didn't try to bring out the caution, but he did spin down to the inside and actually rolled back towards the track. You know, you could say it's not on purpose. It's just a great idea to let it kind of roll out a little bit, and because he needed that caution. He wasn't going to get it down to the bottom. We saw somebody hit the inside wall, get a little bit sideways. The caution came out, but the caution didn't come out until he rolled back out on the track. So I think that was a really smart move by him to kind of try to get that caution to come out just by trying to save that truck. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. He's going to start in 9th place, and he's been really fast, but I'm not sure he's 24 laps to go, 9th to 1st fast. We're going to find out. I can't wait. But, yeah, let's talk a little bit about some stuff while we have under this caution before we get this thing rolling. We got a big event tomorrow night. Joey, you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. And all these guys, most of them are going to be there, and that's at Nasty's. We're going to in Ohio, there is a bar that is going to be showing the race at the bar, and it's a fundraiser. Goat Locker does it every single year to raise money for their nonprofit to help veterans and first responders. And the goal is to raise $2,500, the same goal every single year. And this time, the goal is focused on sim rigs for vets that would like to get into iRacing. And so tomorrow night, it's going to be a blast. There's 2 qualifying races that the Goat Locker boys, Pat and Jamie, will be knocking it out of the park. They do a great job. And then they'll have the top 8 from both those qualifying races will be going into the main, and that'll be right here on Podium. And Joey will be calling it with Justin Prince, and it is going to be exciting. So if you're around on Saturday night, if you're in Ohio, run out there to Nasty's and watch it on the big screen. Say, hey, I know them guys, and cheer us on. And if you're not in Ohio, come on by the Podium, watch. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Xfinity Cars at Vegas, Joey, that's going to be a good one.
You know, I think we should start a trend here, Eddie, is that, yeah, the race is going to be on the bar at Nasty's there. So if you're local, you can go watch it. But hey, you know what? If you feel like going and watching the Podium show of Goat Locker Racing, go to your local bar and tell them to turn on YouTube. Tell them to turn on Podium Esports. Let's see if we can get this Goat Locker Racing special event in all of the bars, in as many bars as we possibly can fit on the TV screen. I think that sounds like a party.
Yeah, I mean, if they have Wi-Fi at the restaurant, you could just try to cast it up to the TV yourself. So that's
there
what I would
go.
do. Yeah, just really take control of the
Hijack.
situation. Yeah, yeah. So, well, Joey, this is going to be wild. I think Patrick, Jamie, they have a great opportunity here. We talked about how important this race is to get the win, to get into the next round. This has really opened up the race. Cofield had it covered. We'll see. He's in 7th right now. We'll see if he can get to the front. He's got 22 laps to do it. This is going to be exciting.
Coming 21 laps to go when they get the green flag here. You see those wave around cars catching the back end of the field, but it is all in the hands of that creamsicle white and orange 07. Another little bit of a later restart, but a fantastic launch from Drabic on that low lane. He gets right in front of that number 15 of Barkas, and it's Kostek trying to slide underneath of Pendleton. Ryan Pendleton has had a fantastic comeback drive to get all the way back up there into the 3rd place position, and now they slot in single file. You got to go all the way back to 6th place to find Jonathan Cofield, but he already slid up underneath the 08. Watch out, that 53 is coming.
He ain't playing around. I love to see drivers as good as Jonathan Cofield who get mad and they become killers, and I love it. And Cofield is going to put on a show here. He has been fast. If you're one of these, he's going to get loose off a 2. Gets a little bit too wild, and he gets loose, and he's going to lose a ton of time. That's not what he needed, Joey.
No, it is not, but thankfully did not smack the wall, and Brandon Wallace gives him a little bit of room there in turns 3 and 4, lets him get the momentum going again, but he didn't lose a ton of track position. There's the leader going through turn 2 right now, and the 53 is just back there in 7th place, but you called it kind of the red mist, just, oh man, he's going to have to get it all back going again. It is Drabic, Barkas, Pendleton, Kostek. That is your front 4, and I can report to you, Cofield's already made the pass for 6th again.
Yeah, he's racing mad at the moment, and I love to see it. Now, I want to say George Jewell is back in 9th. He did get an EOL for that contact with Jonathan Cofield. I'm not sure I agree with that. It doesn't matter what I think, honestly, but Race Control gave him an EOL. He might have called for it. You know, George is such a great guy, such a nice fella. He might have felt like that was his fault and called for it himself, but he is back in 9th. He's going to have some work to do. But right now, it is a Goat Locker 1, 2, 3 with the Bandits of Michael Kostek right there in 4th. He is kind of hunting these guys down. Kostek has been somebody we really haven't talked too much about. He's just been quietly hanging out in the top 5, and right now sitting behind this Goat Locker trio, and he looking for a win. I think he can definitely do it. Kostek is an incredible driver. He is one of those guys that will just sneak in there and grab one, and this is a great opportunity for him.
And while these trucks are running kind of all at stiff arm length, 1, 2, 3, 4, I want to give a huge thank you to Cruisin' Classics, located in Columbus, Ohio. Cruisin' Classics has a beautiful 56,000 square foot showroom filled with hundreds of unique automobiles. There's something for everybody out of their hand-picked selection of muscle cars and hot rods. Come on down today to visit the facility or check out their website at cruisinClassicsinc.com. 15 laps to go here at Darlington. It has been an up and down day for several drivers. I think the comeback has been the best out of that number 23 that's sitting in third place. That's Ryan Pendleton. He smacked the wall so hard, so many times off of turn 2 and turn number 4. He took those yellow flags as the opportunity to get that truck fixed, and it looks pretty clean right now. He's sitting there running inside of the top 3 with a great position to try to steal away a win at the end of this thing. And looks like that 53 of Cofield, he is now up inside the top 5 with nothing but clean air between him and this front 4.
Yeah, well, Patrick's got a lot of solace in knowing that Cofield's got 3 other drivers between him, and they are not going to move over and let him have it. He's going to have to work for it. He's been the fastest car the last lap by about a tenth, so he is scooting. But he's going to have to drive up through these guys, and if we know Goat Locker and how they operate, I kind of said they were similar to a Megazord. If you're a Power Rangers fan, kid from the 90s, you put them together and they become this monster of a thing. And right now, that's kind of what this is. I mean, it's going to be incredibly difficult to get to Patrick Drabeck, I think. He's going to have to do a lot of work, but he is coming. I'm going to tell you that right now. Cofield is hunting them down really quickly right now.
Well, you drew the likeness of the Power Rangers, and I mean, I see 4 of them up front right now. That looks like,
Costa gets in
my
the wall.
goodness. Yeah, that's going to allow an easy pass right here for the 53. He's just going to go to the outside of Kostek, and just the momentum is not there for that black number 3, so move Jonathan Cofield up into 4th. He's only 1.1 seconds back from that front 3. I was going to say, draw the likeness to Captain Planet. With all their powers combined, Cofield will not get up to the front with those front 3 kind of all holding hands out there. And quite honestly, I'm a data guy. It's not looking very good for the 53. A 29.3 the last time around, a 29.3 from Drabeck out front. He's got more work to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the fastest truck on the track, and we've already seen him, kind of lose it a little bit coming off of 2, trying to make those cold tires work and make them stick, but he's got them rolling right now. He is going to get up here and battle with these guys. I think you're right. 10 laps to go at Darlington. He's really been putting the pressure on them, and these guys are not going to battle until the last lap. I don't think you'll see Patrick or Jamie make any kind of wild moves. Right now, they just need to be focused on don't make mistakes. That is the big thing at the moment. Darlington will punish you for mistakes. You cannot make the wrong move at all, and if Patrick has to lift or checks up just a little bit, then Jamie's got to make the call. Do I go around him or try to check up myself? And if they do that, then all that does is bring Jonathan Cofield even closer, as he's now down to 1.1 seconds back from the leader as he closes in on Ryan Pendleton.
I want to say thank you to Redbeard Design Company. Redbeard Design Co. is a brand design and creative agency out of Greenfield, Indiana. They do brand identity, illustration, advertisements, apparel, packaging, and posters. All of GLR's logos since day one are the creation of Redbeard Design Company. So when you see GLR anywhere, you're seeing a Redbeard design. The closing stages here, the top 8 round of the playoffs. After tonight, one of these drivers will be locked in based off of the win. This is Cofield almost making contact to the bumper there of Pendleton, and Ryan definitely got the elbows out. It's like that chain that you were talking about. They are not allowing Cofield anywhere near the front.
Yeah, I mean, Cofield was showing his nose, which is usually a thing of like, hey, I'm going to throw it in here. I just want you to know. And Ryan was ready for it. He dove down and said, you're going to have to turn me if you're going to pass me into 1. Into 1 is a terrible spot to try to dive into the corner. And I think Pendleton made the right call there and said, good luck. I'm going to drive down full throttle. You're going to have to basically run over me to get me here. And, here comes Cofield off of 2. What a great run. He's going to make a little bit of contact. Is Rod Pendleton. What a save by the 23. And he is doing nothing but holding up that 53.
And Cofield is definitely getting frustrated. The only thing that saved the 23 from going around off of turn 2 was that outside wall, because the 53 was just going to run straight through him. But even if Cofield gets around Pendleton right now, I just feel it is too little too late. 5 laps remaining here at Darlington. Drabick has a 3/4 of a second lead, and I actually just saw Cofield smack the wall, or almost smack the wall, coming off a turn number 2 there. And actually, there's Pendleton scraping the wall in turn 4. That opens the door for Cofield. He says thank you very much.
Yeah, he gets a nice run here. This is the perfect spot. See if Cofield can slide up in front of him, drives right down, and he is going to slide on through. But time is running out. I mean, Ryan Pendleton grabbed the dagger that somehow plays like a flute, and he played it up. And he goes, doo, 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 and able to hold him off. And I think that held him up just enough that he's 1.6 seconds back from Drabick, and Drabick is really laying down some really fast lap times right now.
Yeah, the flute, that sounded more like an ocarina from what I was hearing out of it. You're crossing over to Nintendo land now, Eddie, so. But here we are, 3 laps remaining, and this truck right here did not have a regular season win. Patrick Drabick got into the playoffs just based off of the consistency alone. And then he went out there, he won Michigan, one of the very, very first rounds here in the championship. And now with 2 laps to go, he is staring down that white flag, hoping that he sees it before a yellow comes out. What a way to start this championship round of 8, trying to lock himself into that championship 4 just based off of the win alone.
Yeah, it is so important in these rounds to be perfect. And we have talked about Jamie Barkas getting into the wall. We've talked about Ryan Pendleton getting into the wall. We've talked about Jonathan Cofield making a mistake, not coming down pit road, taking those tires. We've talked about Michael Kostick getting loose, almost wrecking a couple times. Who we haven't talked about making a mistake? That is Patrick Drabick, and he has got 1 more lap to go to get it done.
Comes off of turn number 2. One of the tricky turns here, stays a nice half car width off of that wall. So all he's got to do is half a lap here at Darlington. The winner from Michigan now looks up to Barney. He's waving the checkered flag. Patrick Drabick secures himself into the championship 4 with a checkered flag at Darlington.
Yeah, look at those fist pumps. He come off before he knew he had it, and look how excited he is. You think this stuff don't mean nothing to these guys? They put so much work and so much time into it, and to come away with a victory like that, look how excited he is. He's going championship racing in Iowa. So he is Pocono, one of his favorite tracks. He gets to go out there and just let her rip. He knows he's going to be racing for a championship.
All the pressure is off for the coming week at Pocono out here, and then Patrick Drabick will advance himself into that championship 4. Let's listen to him burn this thing down on the front straightaway.
Yeah, I mean, he is not going to leave a single thread of tire on that thing. Wow.
You love to see it. The best smelling donuts, even though they're a little bit stinky, they're not as sweet, as those maple bars that we get up here in the Pacific Northwest. But Patrick Drabick is going to continue to celebrate the win, not leave any sort of tire on the back end of that thing. And we'll be right back with your official results and post-race interviews. Well, we are back here at Darlington with your official results. It was Patrick Drabick in that 07 car, locking himself into that championship 4. Doesn't even have to worry about the pressure next week. Jamie Barkas, what a fantastic run from this number 15. Remember, we documented him falling down the order early in the race, comes back to finish second. Jonathan Cofield, an interesting strategy call after everybody behind him went on fresh tires, got turned on the front straightaway, fights his way back to third place here. Ryan Pendleton, another one of those up and down days, solid points finish with fourth. Daniel Cunningham was one of those drivers we never really mentioned a whole lot, but he held station there with a top 5 finish. Michael Kostek coming home 6th. George Jewell 7th, Regis Clark here in 8th. James Kaufman with a nice finish back here in 9th, actually up 9 positions. That's your biggest mover, that number 25, with Brandon Wallace rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, Matt Knights comes home in 11th. Alan Marshall there in 12th. Mike Browning comes home in 13th. Jacob Ellingson, disappointed, drove around just limping all the way around the whole race and comes home in 14th. Jamie Mullins, somebody we did not notice have a big issue, but the 66 was 8 laps down. He is a playoff driver, so big problem for him, as that is going to be tough to deal with when it comes to the point standings next week. He's going to have to really make up something here. James Goshen comes home in 15th. Timothy Stubblefield in 17th. Chuck Phelps rounds out your field in 18th.
And that is going to bring us our winning interview of the night. Patrick Drabick, dude, how does it feel?
Man, that was awesome. I could not be happier. Kicked off the round of 12 with the win, kick off the round of 8 with the win. I guess I just needed the playoffs to start to get this Jam Printing and Promotions 07 into victory lane.
Well, you had probably the cleanest night. It was Eddie that pointed it out that, look, we're going to have to race the track all night long. You're going to have to dance with that lady in black. And it seemed like you were able to stay off of the walls. And look where it wound you up, victory lane.
I love this track. This is one of my favorite tracks in the world. I mean, it just takes a lot of throttle control and just a lot of on edge, seat time and things like that. So when we come to Darlington, I get pretty fired up about it. And yeah, I mean, I only think I got the wall slightly one time, so I was able to keep the truck clean, keep it out of that wall, and keep it trucking down the road.
Well, I think it was a fantastic performance here tonight. It locks you into that championship 4. What does that mean in terms of the pressure? You obviously still have to show up to Pocono, but do you just mainly focus on Nashville from here on out?
No, I mean we're gonna look at Pocono. Pocono's another track that I really love going to. I want to go out there and put this truck in victory lane every chance that I possibly can. So we're gonna go out there and stay in race form and go out there and race, not take a week off, keep this momentum going, and then yeah, hopefully when we get to Nashville, we'll be raising that trophy.
Well, I know you are pumped. I know that we're going to be on the bar at Nasty's tomorrow as well, so we're looking forward to that one. Hopefully we get the same energy level out of you tomorrow as we have tonight. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Jam Printing and Promotions. I know, Amber, you just texted me. The owner of Jam Printing and Promotions with her husband, Jerry. They're tuned in tonight. Hopefully mom and dad's there with you, Dick and Debbie. But we got this thing in victory lane. I'm so stoked about that. I'm glad you guys tuned in. But yeah, I mean, everything that you guys are doing at Podium, and Eddie, love you to death. We've got Cruising Classics. Man, I'm beside myself right now. I'm going to forget some people. Right now, Roofing, the Veterans for Life Foundation. We got so much cool stuff going on with the nonprofit side of Goat Locker Racing. It's quite amazing. This huge fundraiser happening tomorrow, so please tune in. Same team's going to be broadcasting tomorrow night, 8 p.m. It's going to be broadcast live at Nasty's there in Hilliard, Ohio. But at the end of the day, man, and my teammates, I always forget to say something about them, man. Jake and Jamie and Ryan and all the work that we put in, and we get out here and we work as a team, and it's been awesome. But Champ 4, baby.
Well, I think anybody can read the excitement level on Patrick Drabick's face out here, locking himself in to that championship 4 here at Darlington. What a performance. And looks like, Eddie, you've strolled down the paddock and you've caught up with Jamie Barkus.
Jamie, I mean, the race started off really good for you, but you started to fall back, maybe a little bit of contact with the wall, and started to fade back. But then and I don't know if maybe you were just saving tires, but you just came on strong at the end of that first run and found yourself, in position right behind Patrick coming off pit road. Talk about that first little run where you saving tires, you make contact. What happened that you started to fall back just a little bit?
I sucked yet again. So yeah, I got the wall in 1 and 2, and then that wasn't good enough. So I had to get it again in 3 and 4. I think pretty much on the same lap or the next lap. I'm not in the playoffs, so I definitely didn't want to cause a problem for George Jewell. He was coming behind me, so I kind of just let those guys go and settled back down, got the groove back. And there was just a lot of tire drop off on that first run. It went really long, so started reeling those guys back in when I knew they were going to use their stuff up. So just was being patient, took care of the truck, got to that first pit stop. I went a lap earlier than Pat, even though I told him when I was going, but he still chose to stay out of lap. So yeah, that helped me get right back up onto him, made up some ground there, and then used the other restarts to get my way up to the front. Led a couple laps, I think. So it was a good night. First time I got to talk to you guys this season. So best finish.
Yeah, I mean, really competitive this series has been, and I talked to a little bit during the middle of the race that I always expect to see you up front, but that just talks to how competitive this series has turned into this particular season. But tonight, I mean, you look like you're in your normal form where you're running up front. I think you might have had something there for Patrick. Was the feeling that you may have been able to get up there and pass him? You just didn't want to, knowing what was at stake.
Yeah, again, I mean, he's in the playoffs. I'm not. Was going to make sure he got the win. Ran the truck harder than I really wanted to try to stay in contact with him, just to make sure, because we knew, Jonathan was back on equal tires, and it was going to be just a matter of time before he got his way back up there. So I was just trying to get as much distance between me and him, so that way, if I did have to, I wouldn't have done anything wrecking, but as you saw earlier, when he was on older tires, he didn't make it easy for me to get around him. So my plan was to not make it easy for him to get around me. So I was hoping to be able to get as far enough out in front of him that, if he did get past me, which I fully expected him to, that Pat would be far enough into it and not have enough laps left for it to make a difference.
Yeah, well, y'all knocked it out of the park. Great strategy, good teamwork, and you come away with a 1-2, and Patrick moving on to the Final Four. So great finish for you,
Absolutely.
second place. I always say if you get an interview, you pretty much won the race. So that's as good as it gets. And man, congratulations on that. And as always, who you got to thank? What sponsor shout outs?
Well, we'll start with you guys with Podium. It's been great all season with you guys. Couldn't ask for anything more. Thoroughly enjoy watching these races back afterwards. Definitely can't watch them during the race like some of the guys do, but love to watch it afterwards. And of course, Jam Printing Promotions are the title sponsor for this series. So hopefully, if the Sheffers are having their normal Friday night watch party, got a 1-2 finish from Goat Locker. So hope everybody's celebrating that. And then let's see, we got to thank Veterans for Life Foundation. Right Now Roofing, Cruising Classics as always. That was on my truck tonight, so glad to have them. And of course, Premier Racing Setups. They provide the custom fixed setups that we use for this series. And I'm gonna tell you, it's probably the best handling truck I've ever had at Darlington. May not have quite been the fastest, but it handled great. There was no issues at all with that one. And we got to thank Taylor Kitchen with Above the Yellow Line podcast. She's always a big supporter of us. So I think that covered everybody.
I think you nailed it. There you have it. Jamie Barkus, second place finish here tonight, and he will celebrate with his teammate. And I think Joey, he's caught up with third place finisher, Jonathan Cofield.
So, Jonathan Cofield, I know that third place is probably not what you envisioned at the end of tonight. Other than getting spun on the front straightaway, do you think it was just maybe the strategy call that made you fall back through it?
Yeah, I miscounted how many tire sets we had, so that was my bad, not paying attention. I thought if I'd have pitted, I'd have only had one set left, or I don't know how it went. I just wasn't paying attention and didn't pit. I thought it was too early to be taking tires. Figured there'd be a later caution, so I was trying to save a set, miscounted, and that's how that turned out.
So, at the last restart, when you were in 7th or 8th place or so, Did you think you could get all the way back up there to the front? We saw a couple loose moments where you had to save the truck and it kind of stalled out your run. Is that what kind of cost you the laps that you needed to catch the front?
Yeah, and all the guys ahead of us were Goat Locker teammates, so kind of knew it was going to be a little tough getting through there. They're all in comms together. The 8, he threw a little block on me. Pendleton, I knew he was going to be hard. So it's just part of it. I made a mistake and put myself in that position. If I'd have restarted up front, took tires for those guys, I probably would have never got spun. So it's how it happens sometimes.
Yeah, it is racing, and I think you've got a perfect evaluation of it already. And looking forward, you didn't lock yourself into the championship 4, but it was a good points finish. How's your confidence at Pocono? Because talk about a completely different racetrack than what we've seen the last handful of weeks.
Yeah, Pocono will be fun. Hopefully get the guys spread out. It's definitely a driver's track. I can think of one guy comes to mind, Caustic. He lives in Pennsylvania. He lives and breathes Pocono, so he's really good there in anything he drives, really. But yeah, it's a good track. It'll be fun for sure.
Well, you had a good performance, not victory lane performance here tonight at the end of it. Who do you have to thank for all of the speed on the racetrack?
Yeah, I want to thank, of course, Premier Racing Setups on the Hood. Awesome setup they brought tonight. Jam Premium Promotions for sponsoring our truck series. Veterans for Life Foundation, Cruising Classics. Right Now Roofing, Red Beard Design Company, my sponsors, SM Racing Products. You go there and type in Bandits 1 at checkout. You can save yourself $20 on any purchase over $150. Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Cofield Supply and Service. And congrats to the winners. And I'm ready to get to Nashville to the championship 4.
Well, you heard it right here. Jonathan Cofield ready to get into that championship 4. He's got to make it through Pocono first, but started out with a good finish here in this round of 8. And Eddie, I mean, talk about some strategies being turned on their head, different calls for different tires, dancing with the lady in black and not coming out the other side. Darlington had everything for us, didn't it?
Man, nailed it on every single category of racing that I love, and it had all the strategy. It had a little bit of drama where the best driver didn't win. I think we would all say that Cofield was the best guy, but I think when you get down to the playoffs, you get down to these final few races, it's all about how little mistakes that you make, making the right calls, and a little bit of luck. And I think that all played out in Patrick Dravick's. He was there running second, had plenty of speed, and Cofield made the mistake of not coming down pit road, and they were there to capitalize, and now Patrick Dravick's locked into the championship 4.
Well, and we heard everybody talking Pocono. That is what is up next for the Goat Locker Racing Series. The final race in this round of 8. See who sets that championship 4 next week right here, May 3rd at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Podium Esports. And also remember, tomorrow, check us out, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern for that race at Nasty's. Always got to keep an eye out for those Xfinity cars at Las Vegas. It is going to be an absolute riot. And thank you to Patrick Dravick, Jamie Barkis, and everyone at Goat Locker Racing. And also thank you to everybody behind the scenes here at Podium Esports. That includes Ryan and Rachel Bauer. Thank you to Eddie and Dougie tonight as well. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you at the finish line.